Battlefield 6 has a chance to do the funniest thing ever here, and no, I don't mean putting Fred Durst in the game, but that would be pretty sick too. So I just got back from a week in LA where I spent about 8 hours playing what's about to be the beta build of Battlefield 6. In the midst of all that, I interviewed a pair of pretty senior developers, two guys that have been with the franchise for about 20 years apiece, so they know what they're talking about. For my quick impressions right at the top, the game kicks ass. That's the too long didn't watch. We'll dive further into it soon and get into more detail, but just know it's exactly what Battlefield needs to be right now. There are no unnecessary bells and whistles attached, there's no changes just for the sake of changes. It's exactly what Battlefield should be and nothing more, and that's excellent. In speaking with others at the event, you get the sense that EA is just a little bit confident with Battlefield 6. I mean, the event in LA that I attended was one of just many kind of scattered around the globe. They are swinging it around with this game, and they are very, very confident with the product that they have, and I think rightfully so. They know that Call of Duty is in a bit of a rough state. That's not to say that they're going to overtake Call of Duty, not by any means, we'll get into that, but I think they know that they've got something good on their hands and they're ready to show it. But there's a lot more to it than just that. There's a really fascinating angle when it comes to Battlefield 6 that I don't think anyone's really talking about, and that's Battlefield Portal. I was bullish on Portal when 2042 was releasing, and we all know how things went with 2042. It wasn't great. This time around with Battlefield 6, I feel like the creative toolset is genuinely staggering and the potential is through the roof here. Not only can Battlefield 6 take Call of Duty's lunch, but I feel like in a way it's taking Halo's lunch before we even get to the next iteration. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of Battlefield 6 itself, it's crucial to understand the state that the game is launching in. Let's be real clear about one thing. Call of Duty is still an absolute juggernaut, and that likely isn't going to change anytime soon. Last year's release, Black Ops 6, was the best-selling game in the US for 2024. That makes 16 straight years where Call of Duty was the top dog in the world's largest video game market. It would take an absolute disaster with this year's Black Ops 7 to change that, so regardless of what anyone else is doing with any other game, COD is still going to be COD. But with that said, there's no denying public sentiment has started to shift. Over those 16 years of market dominance, we've seen a number of highs and lows in community morale, and right now we're in the midst of another low. With cartoony skins, hackers running wild, and relatively dull post-launch updates, there's been plenty of discourse online that COD is going in the wrong direction. For many, there's the argument that Activision has grown complacent, and I tend to agree. There's been little in the way of competition to really contend for the crown in recent years. Microsoft tried to make a splash with Halo Infinite, but just couldn't put all the pieces together in time for a strong launch. Splitgate exploded overnight, but as we just saw, its follow-up had to unlaunch due to a lack of fundamentals upon release. We just haven't seen an arena-style shooter stick around for long enough to make a meaningful impact. Now admittedly, we haven't seen Black Ops 7 yet, and who's to say what Activision might be cooking, but for my money, now is the absolute best time to take a shot at the king. And again, it's not to say that any new release could topple COD and knock it off the best-selling list. Anyone forecasting that for the tail end of 2025 is frankly off their rocker. But there's potential this year for another real force in the FPS space to cement its position among the top of the genre. Midway through my first preview day, I was able to pick the brains of two veteran Battlefield developers. I didn't get too long with them, and I was even told I ran overtime despite being well under my 15-minute limit, so it is what it is. Both creative director Thomas Anderson and Ripple Effect vice president Christian Grass had plenty of interesting things to say. When I broached the topic of competition, they wouldn't address Call of Duty by name of course, and they gave that kind of typical PR non-answer. But I did get one tidbit that I found pretty interesting.
Right, so we feel that this is a fantastic Battlefield game, again, where you can kind of feel all the components that make Battlefield great. We believe that, our game is unique. There's something about our game that you can't really get in any other game. That's our thought, right? We have the destruction and playing in the roles. And our focus is on delivering the best Battlefield game we can, and a game that our old school hardcore fans will love, but also a game that feels like, hey, maybe I should try Battlefield and step in, and they'll through the kinesthetic combat system they will learn to get better. Maybe they're really good from the start and they'll be good learning the classes and playing the small modes, conquest, alternating both, and all of the above. That's our focus, and that's what we care about.
Conviction, confidence, and focus in what we're trying to do, and trying to do that the best that we've ever done, and hopefully the people are seeing that too.
Now after 8 hours of playing it myself, it's clear to me that the emphasis on conviction, confidence, and focus is paying off. rocket into the tank. They just blew me up. Putting it plainly, Battlefield 6 is fantastic. It harkens back to what many would consider the peak of the franchise, and in many ways, comes across as a direct follow-up to, say, a Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4. It's everything we all loved about those games, polished to the nth degree and made to both look and sound as spectacular as possible. Seriously, a quick side note on audio, it was wildly impressive in the build that we were playing. While the visuals were great, it's nothing you haven't really seen before, but the audio, damn. Every shot, every explosion, every near-death experience, it all felt far more impactful thanks to the remarkable sound design.
Charlie. There it is, there's Charlie.
But back to the game in full. At its core, Battlefield 6 is very much just Battlefield. If you haven't clicked with it in the past, there's not much here that's going to change that. It's all about class-driven combat. It's all about placing an emphasis on vehicles and how they can overwhelm objectives. It's all about providing a multiplayer sandbox for total mayhem in the best ways imaginable. Ripple Effect's vice president summarized it well, I thought.
It's us trying to take everything that we've done over the last, whatever it is, more than 20, I always feel so old when I say it's more than 20 years
25.
of Battlefield, try to, and then really take all of that we've learned, everything we've done great, everything our fans have loved, everything we have loved, take that and then create a game where we take the best of that and we really push it further than we ever have, and we package it all as one thing. And there's no compromise anywhere, right? We're pushing all of these angles to drive sort of and create the best of what Battlefield is. And I feel like there's a lot of things that are the best they've ever been. I actually think, to be honest, and between us, a personal opinion, this is the best Battlefield game we've ever created. And that's our excitement, right? And we feel it when we play it. We felt it when we were building it. And we're hoping, of course, that you guys will feel it. And next week, when players play the open beta, we have got a lot of feedback through BF Labs as well. So I'm just very, very excited about this game.
You said between us, but it is.
I know. I actually I did say that as a joke.
You've got your staple game types like Rush and Conquest, but one thing that stood out during my time was just how much fun I had with the more standard game types too. Straight up just playing Team Deathmatch was a good time thanks to some excellent map designs that actually take place on smaller chunks from big team modes. And I thought at first that kind of sounded like a bit of a cop-out, like, oh, we're just going to reuse a bit of a bigger map here and chuck it in for domination, but trust me, it actually really works, at least in the small selection we sampled. I will say classes don't feel quite as dramatically different in previous releases, and I oddly think that comes down to visual identity to a degree. Just looking at the starting screen, it can be tough to distinguish the roles and immediately know who is who, let alone when you're actually out in moment-to-moment action. Who on my team is a support and can heal me when I'm down? Who is an engineer and can blow this damn tank up? It can get a bit confusing trying to figure it all out, but they certainly still play differently when you're in control. It can get a bit confusing trying to figure it out, but I think that's something that will be alleviated when you've got an actual squad, when you've got your friends and you've got your team of 4, you kind of know who's who. Respawn beacons played a huge role in the bigger maps, reducing the time it took to get back to your squad mates in the fight. Smoke grenades proved vital to help escape that terrifying glint of sniper scopes in the hills. Heck, we had lobbies where players were running around trying to get defib kills and others where blowtorches came into play. It was a whole thing. I think the only real standout negative, at least in my opinion, was the shotgun spam that quickly took hold. Most players figured out the first day that this one particular shotgun with one specific attachment can one-shot from close to mid-range, and man. By day 2 of the preview event, it was a little out of hand, so I can only imagine how the beta will go if there's no balance pass between now and then. Overall though, I didn't want to stop playing after my 8 hours were done. Now that I'm back here making this video, it's kind of all I'm thinking about. I just can't wait to get to the beta, and that's a feeling I haven't had with a multiplayer game in a long time. I can't remember the last time I was this compelled to hop back on and just keep having fun. Not for any sense of progression, not to unlock something, just to have fun.
And just...
While I can't wait to squad back up and get more game time in around the beta and the full release, multiplayer is just one part of the offering, and truthfully, I think there's a world where the regular multiplayer isn't even the biggest component. Hear me out. Before the world got to see a very excited Vince Zampella take the stage at the public reveal event, we got to see the exact same broadcast the day prior. Every seat was taken by either media or a popular content creator, many from the FPS world. There were plenty of loud moments from the crowd as everyone took in the stream of information, But the biggest pop of the entire event was when EA showed off its next evolution of Battlefield Portal. What first launched as part of Battlefield 2042 has now morphed into something far greater. I was incredibly bullish on the toolset in its original form, but given Battlefield 2042 kind of crashed and burned, it never really got the chance to shine. In a way, it sounds like the next evolution of Halo's Forge mode, a point that I raised in my interview and the developers there agreed. A mode where players can design their own experiences directly in-game. Want to race around in jets without killing? Sure, go pop your checkpoints where you want them and have fun. Want to replicate one in the chamber? Yeah, you can do that too. The possibilities are seemingly endless, and content creators were immediately aware, oohing and eyeing at each new idea on display, thinking of how it might keep their audience engaged for weeks on end. Here's another excerpt from my interview where Ripple Effect's vice president detailed an early Portal creation that he was most impressed by.
I was blown away by an early horde mode test because it had like a horde mode with actually AI. For a squad against AI, the AI got better and better. There's one wave that spawned through parachuting down, and the other cool thing is that you accumulated like XP or whatever when you were playing, and then they had buy stations, and you went up to the buy station to buy more lives or weapons, and that buy station UI was built in Portal. And when we played that, we were like, this is pretty spectacular. I remember that one. That was a while ago, though.
To me, this is the real area where Battlefield 6 sets itself apart in a way that it never quite has. This is how EA distinguishes Battlefield from COD and the rest of the competition in the genre. When streamers are hosting lobbies in game types designed by their fans, when YouTubers are reacting to a viral 1 gorilla tank versus 100 soldier mode, when we're all benefiting from the constant influx of fresh experiences directly in the main multiplayer launcher, that's when Battlefield 6 can stand on its own 2 feet and emerge from out of COD's shadow. Not as an FPS to overthrow it, but as a different offering with distinct components that can offer hundreds of hours of a different kind of first-person fun. So with my spiel about the game now out of the way, I think there's one last thing worth emphasizing. As you can tell by the little bits of swag that I've been chucking on throughout this video, there was an air of confidence around the dev team this week that I haven't really experienced before. Beyond just the interview footage you've already seen, I was speaking to other developers and kind of just hanging out, and there was an air of confidence around them that you don't quite get at these big press events. Sure, people are happy to speak about their game, they're eager to kind of get some of the information out there, but there's still usually this sense of trepidation that things aren't exactly nailed all the way down yet. With Battlefield 6, I just didn't get that. It was the complete opposite. You really got the sense that they've just knuckled down for the past few years, kind of been off the radar, and now they're emerging with a product they know is going to be exceptional. I'm 100% confident saying we're not going to have another bloody release without a scoreboard. I played the beta, the scoreboard's there, thank God. It's a return to the fundamentals of what made Battlefield so great in the first place. The basics are all here, they've ticked all the right boxes, and they've refined every system as much as possible. God, how do people show like this all the time? My days. Look, it's easier said than done in the current landscape where delays are commonplace and rocky launches are even more regular. There's every chance Battlefield 6 comes out and servers buckle under the weight, cheaters invade every lobby, microtransactions are just crazy, weapon balance is cooked, all these different things, and we all just give it up in a week, right? That's a possibility. I know this all too well. I copped so much backlash with my Battlefield 2042 preview, where I said the game should be delayed. No one believed me at the start, then the game comes out and what happened happened. It's worth obviously keeping that in mind here with Battlefield 6. We've seen all the memes already where people are saying don't pre-order, and Battlefield 6 has already shot to the top of the charts across multiple platforms. But do be cautious, okay? Play the beta for yourself, get a feel for it, and just keep in mind that the launch could be a different story. But this time around, again, after hearing from those involved, playing it for myself for a good chunk of time, and with the confidence they're showing making this beta open to everyone, it really does feel like we're in for a different outcome.